Fat guy, have you lost some weight? What's up, YouTube? It's Big Ryan, the fat guy. Sunday's in the books for week 3. Another Sunday done. One game over 500 with Pittsburgh still to go. -2.5 Monday night. Let's highlight a few of the comments from the week 3 video, fat guy. Up first is Luke Connors. He said the Bears are going to destroy the Cards.
Well, it didn't exactly happen. They scored 2 touchdowns and then they gave it up. They let them off the hook, as Denny Green would say. 16-14 is not destroying. And by the way, Arizona covered.
Next up, we have Vicente Aguilera. Bills aren't winning, especially in Minnesota. Boy, like Ethan McDonald said, ha, LOL, this didn't age well at all.
Well, Vicente Aguilera, much like your sister Christina, the Bills are capable of surprising. Now, I didn't say they were going to win, so you obviously didn't listen to the video. I said that they had a good chance of maybe covering because the spread was so big. So not only did they cover, they won, and they won by a lot. So don't be so sure because it's a probability. The Bills had probably a 6% chance of winning, and the 6% came in. For every lock there is a key. There's nothing that's for sure.
And I'll also highlight Lord Razim said that the Bills are trash, so congratulations. You look silly.
Well, they might be trash, but they won.
Next up, we have John Spano. It's Jaguars, not Jaguars. LOL, my bad, bro. You're getting hammered this week. I disagree on 10 of your picks. Basically, the entire back half of your list. LOL, we will see, I suppose. Hammer Chicago versus Arizona. Bears will win by 24 points. The D will score 2 touchdowns alone. Fat guy?
Well, that was a pretty bold prediction. The Bears didn't score any touchdowns on defense, and they barely won the game, and they did not cover. And if you disagreed with my picks, especially at the back end, then you were a big loser this Sunday. So be careful what you wish for. It's going to bite you in the ass.
Next up, we have Every Day I Die a little more. The New York Giants, really? Wow. Cards, Lions, and Giants will not cover. Terrible picks. Fat guy, boy, does this guy have egg on his face.
Now, I gotta get into this one. We're being very results-based. We're cherry-picking out some of the worst ones. The thing is, we do contrarian picks. We pick against the grain. So it's not supposed to be popular. But I find it really funny that the least intellectual people, they're so aggressive and egregious in how they express their ideas. For every lock there is a key. Just because you were wrong on all 3 of those predictions doesn't mean you're bad. Because I was right on all 3 of those predictions doesn't mean I'm good. But you don't have to be so aggressive in how you pick it. We're going against the grain, and you're a square, and we're a sharp, and we will poke you.
It looks like Every Day He died a little bit quicker as of those picks. Next up, we have Hoodrich Lou. You're on hallucinogens if you think the Arizona Cardinals are going to beat the Chicago Bears.
I like drugs as much as the next junkie, but I wasn't on hallucinogens. The Bears did win, but they didn't cover. Cardinals put up a great fight, and I felt they should have won that game. They should have. Terrible coaching, terrible quarterbacking, but it is the Cardinals. The Bears didn't kill them, everybody. The Bears barely won. They are who we thought they were, and we let them off the hook.
Speaking of Bears, Alan Waltman agreed. The Bears are going to kill the Cardinals. The Bears have a premier defense, and their offense is starting to show improvement, probably due to their D. That's the only super questionable pick I saw. Thanks for posting. Well, you're welcome, Alan. But still, you were wrong.
Yeah, but at least that was constructive. Like, that was a reasonable prediction. We're allowed to be wrong, both sides. At least Alan displayed his ideas in a proper manner. The rest of you, got no love for you. Good job, Alan. Keep on trucking, pal.
And El Denali said they're a better team. No injury news, no rankings, nothing. Fat guy, what do you think about this big thumbs down?
Do you guys really want me to do 50-minute pick videos? You just wanted the picks and to get the fuck out of here. If I'm going to give you injury news, Sunday night's not the time to do it. I don't know the health status of Jimmy Garoppolo, neither do the doctors. You're going to have to check RotoWorld closer to the game. So he's not very topical. Also, do I need to rank all the teams? I think Jacksonville's the best team in the league, and I think Arizona and Buffalo are probably the worst. But that doesn't mean they can't win on any given Sunday, so it's completely superfluous. So let's not bother with all that bullshit and keep rolling.
Keep those comments coming, guys. I love when you guys look stupid because I know we're going to look stupid eventually. But now you have the opportunity to compete against Big Ryan, the fat guy. Check out the link in the description below. See if you can beat us picking for this week, week 4. Let's go on to week 4, fat guy. We're going to start off with the Minnesota Vikings traveling to LA to take on the Rams. 59% are on the Vikings, 41% are on the Rams. The Rams are 6.5 point favorites. Fat guy, who you got?
Now the Rams are 6.5 point favorites. I like the Minnesota Vikings. I'd like to get that line at 7, so I think it's worth waiting around for. The Rams really can't look any better than they have, and Minnesota can't look worse. So this is a good do-up, do-down situation, as you would say. So I'm going to take the Vikings, and I want the real Vikings to show up, not the ones that get blown out by the Bills and the Eagles last season. So go Vikes, go.
Next up, let's move on to Sunday's early games. The Miami Dolphins travel to New England to take on the Patriots. The line is fresh off the books, -9. Patriots are favorites. Fat guy, who you got without the percentage help of the public?
Now this is one of those too good to be trues. Like Miami +9, they're 3-0. New England's 1-2. Why are they getting laid so many points? Something doesn't smell right, because this looks like an easy Miami pick. So I'm going to go the other way. I'm going to take the New England Patriots, and I think it's going to be maybe a humbling beatdown for the Dolphins. Now, we do have a lot of Dolphins fans that are in the comment section. Hey, and good for you guys. You're 3-0. And even if you lose this game by 10, let's say, to cover the spread, you'll still be first in the division. So I'm going to take the New England Patriots. I'm going to lay in a large number that I hate doing.
Next up, we have the Houston Texans traveling to Indianapolis to take on the Colts. 22% are on the Texans, 78% are on the Colts. +2 on the road for the Houston Texans, -2 for the Colts. Fat guy, who you got?
I'm going to take the Houston Texans. Now, this seems a little bit weird because Indy's playing really decent football on the defensive side. They held the Washington Redskins to no touchdown, and they put up a pretty good effort against I'm going to say a banged-up Philadelphia team. They're not very healthy on offense. But I am going to take the Houston Texans. I think they're going to be able to move the ball a little bit with DeAndre Hopkins and Lamar Miller. And I think Deshaun Watson might be able to shake off some of his ring rust. So I'm going to take the Houston Texans, a team that I'm not too high on, but I think they're going to be able to win this battle, even though it is on the road. That's the part that's kind of holding me back a bit. Let's take the points, and let's take the Houston Texans. And now I would wait on that line. Try and get it at 3. If somehow it gets to 3.5, which I highly doubt, that would be even better. It'd be music to my ears. So Houston and the points, whatever they are.
Next up, the Cincinnati Bengals travel to Atlanta to take on the Falcons. 52% are on the Bengals, 48% are on the Falcons. The Falcons are 6-point favorites at home. Fat guy, who you got?
I think this is a tough one. I like both these teams. I think these teams are higher on my list than a lot of them. Atlanta, they lost a thriller against New Orleans. They really just lost a coin flip, I felt, at the end of the game. I mean, when it went to overtime. And somehow they gave up all of those scores. The defense got gassed. Defense looked terrible, but offense, Calvin Ridley, holy, did he look good. 5 touchdowns for Matt Ryan. Fantastic performance. Cincinnati wasn't their best showing. Dalton threw 4 picks. But you're allowed to have some rough games here and there. He looked excellent through the first 2 weeks. I think both these teams are quality teams. I do think both these teams are going to make the playoffs and win their divisions. However, I'm going to take the Cincinnati Bengals on the road because of the points. I think 6 is a little high. I think it should be more like 3.5. It's a tight one, though, I got to be honest, seesawing in either direction. But the seesaw is going to land with the fat guy on the Cincinnati Bengals +6.
Next up, we have the Buffalo Bills traveling to Green Bay to take on the Packers. 65% are on the Bills, 35% are on the Packers. Packers are 10.5-point favorites at home. Fat guy, who you got?
I'm going to take the Green Bay Packers. Now I'm laying, look how many points Fat Guy is laying. Fat Guy loves taking points. He likes taking free shit. He likes eating off your dinner plate, but he's going to lay the points. The Bills shocked the world. They couldn't be riding any higher. And then this odd, funky line comes out of -10.5 with a quarterback who's of questionable health. And I don't think he's going to get any healthier. But I think the Green Bay Packers are going to be able to pick them apart. I'm not sure exactly how they're going to do it. I'd like them to incorporate Jimmy Graham a little bit more. And I'd like to see the run game get going just a bit more. But I think Green Bay is going to be able to do it, especially at home. And Buffalo, I think they're in for a rough one. I'm going to take the Green Bay Packers, and I'm going to lay these large amount of points as much as it bothers me.
Next up, we have the Detroit Lions traveling to Dallas to take on the Cowboys. The line is fresh. Dallas Cowboys are 3.5-point favorites. Fat guy, who you got?
Again, we were talking about riding high, and now the Detroit Lions are riding high, coming off their win at home against New England. Now, Matt Patricia, Let's see if he has a little bit of, let's say, post-victory jitters, like I'm sure Hugh Jackson will, which we'll be getting to later. The Lions looked fantastic in their win against the Patriots. They had an excellent strategy, but I think a lot of it had to do with some of the, I'd say, interior knowledge that Patricia had of the Patriots. I don't think he has that about the Cowboys. I think the Cowboys had a bad showing against the Seahawks defense, but much like a Dickens novel, the Seahawks are a tale of two teams. They're terrible on the road, and they're actually quite decent regardless of what garbage they have on their team while they're at home. Dallas is now at home, so I'm going to take the Dallas Cowboys. I'm going to lay the 3.5 points, and I think it's going to be a tough one for the Lions.
Next up, we have the Jets traveling to Jacksonville to take on the Jags. 71% are on the Jets, +9. 29% are on the Jags, -9 at home. Fat guy, who you got?
Benny, and no, I'm not taking the Jets. I'm taking the Jags. Now, again, I said the Jags are the best team in the league. Then they go up and they lay an egg. Mind you, they only gave up 9 points on defense. The offense just wasn't able to get going. The Titans do have a competent defense. That is a reason for the Jaguars not being able to get it going. And I don't like the arrogance the Jaguars showed. I think Fournette could have played, and they could have started him, and they could have used him as a workhorse, and they didn't. I think they should have. No team is untouchable. Any team is beatable, and especially this last weekend has just shown it. So the Jaguars, I expect Fournette. I expect Fournette in droves. And I think I'm going to take the Jacksonville Jaguars to cover the 9 points. I'm laying 9 points again against the New York or New Jersey, whichever you want to call it, Jets.
Now, Tampa Bay hasn't even played yet, but we still have the line for next week. The Bucs are traveling to Chicago to take on the Bears. Right now, 25% are on the Bucs, 75% are on the Bears. The Bears are 2.5-point favorites at home. Fat guy, who you got?
This is really interesting because, again, there's some things could change. Injuries could change this line, but if the status quo remains the same, we're going to take the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Now, that line's at 2.5. You could wait and let it creep up to 3, especially since I do think the Steelers are going to win tomorrow. So I'm going to take the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I'm hopefully going to get 3 or 3.5 points. 3.5 being wishful, but I think you can get 3. So I'm going to take the Tampa Bay Buccaneers on the road in Chicago. Chicago's defense is excellent. Khalil Mack is excellent. But Tampa Bay has been electric, and even if they do manage to lose to the Steelers tomorrow, they're still going to have a pretty decent offense with the shots they take downfield. So I'm going to take the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Fitzmagic is going to roll on, I think, in that game.
And the final Sunday early game is the Philadelphia Eagles traveling to Tennessee to take on the Titans. 86% are on the Eagles as 3-point road favorites. Only 14% of people are on the Titans, +3 at home. Fat guy, who you got?
I'm going to take the Tennessee Titans. The Eagles are a little injured, like I mentioned earlier. Carson Wentz was good-ish. He will play himself back into form, but I don't think this is the game that's necessarily going to do it. I actually don't really care who starts in Tennessee, even though as crazy as it sounds. Marcus Mariota ain't right, and there's something that ain't right even when he's healthy. So if Gabbert starts, I'm okay with it, but he does have a concussion, so it's a little bit undecided at quarterback. That being said, I do expect the defense of the Tennessee Titans to carry them, and a little bit of their run game. I'd like to see Henry do a little bit more. He hasn't scored a touchdown. Lewis hasn't been as good as I thought he would be. There just seems like there's something missing with the Titans, but they were able to win 9-6 on the road with the division rivals Jacksonville. The only team they're able to kind of give a good run, and Jacksonville is a very strong team. So I'm going to take the Titans at home, and I get 3 points. It's lovely. It's completely lovely. So Titans +3 is the pick.
Yeah, hopefully right tackle Jack Conklin will be back by then. Let's move on to the Sunday midday games. The Seattle Seahawks travel to Arizona to take on the Cardinals. 58% are on the Seahawks, 42% are on the Cardinals. The Seahawks are 3-point favorites on the road. Cardinals +3 at home. Fat guy, who you got?
Now, like I mentioned about Seattle before, they are a Charles Dickens, a tale of two teams, and excellent at home. They are poor on the road, and they are on the road. And I'm going to take the Arizona Cardinals. Cardinals look decent. Not decent. Cardinals look better than they did before. They look decent as far as Cardinals go when they played the Bears. Now, that sounds a little bit confusing, but what I mean by that is they have had some improvement. They're probably going to play Rosen, the rookie, at quarterback, so there could be some growing pains, but I'd rather him have those growing pains at home than traveling to Seattle. So I'm going to take the Cardinals, but the one thing about both these teams is they're both really bad. And the thing is, the game can get out of control in either way, or teams can come back in very unlikely fashions, much like you saw with the Bears scoring 16 unanswered points when down 14 to the Cardinals. So I am going to take the Cardinals. I think it's going to be an ugly, weird game, but the Cardinals are the pick.
Next up, we have the Cleveland Browns traveling to Oakland to take on the Raiders. 31% are on the Browns, 69% are on the Raiders. The Browns are plus 2.5 on the road. The Raiders 2.5 point favorites at home. Fat guy, who you got?
Take the Raiders now. Please take them now. Don't let it move to 3. I like the Oakland Raiders. I think they're going to be able to pound it in the Browns' faces. I'm a Browns fan. I will admit my B team is the Raiders. Look at the garbage teams the fat guy likes. I don't know what is with me. But I'm going to take the Raiders at home. I think they're going to get a win. There is some dissension in the office, which kind of bothers me, and perhaps on the team, but they are getting some certain things right. It feels like they're improving a little bit in each direction. The only thing that's a little worrisome, I guess, when playing the Browns, and it sounds weird for me even saying this, is Baker Mayfield looked fantastic when the Browns captured their first win in 2 years against the Jets. He led them to victory. He looked great. He had pinpoint accuracy. He had a lot of heat on his throws. I'm not sure it's going to play out that way when they head to the black hole in Oakland. I like the Raiders. I like that we have to lay less than 3 points, so a field goal should do it. The Oakland Raiders are the pick, and I think they're going to pound the rock even more than they have in past games.
Next up, we have the San Francisco 49ers traveling to LA to take on the Chargers. Fat guy, right now 20% are on San Fran, 80% are on the Chargers. 9.5 point underdogs on the road for San Fran, 9.5 point favorites for the Chargers. Fat guy, who you got?
This is a really tough one. They don't expect Jimmy Garoppolo to play because it said he has perhaps a torn ACL, MCL, something like that. The information isn't all out, but I say it's insanely doubtful that he plays on the weekend. That being said, it means that CJ Beathard, however the fuck you say it, is going to be starting at quarterback for the 49ers. Now, you have to make me take Beathard, and 9.5 points, or lay the 9.5 points and take the Chargers. I think I'd like to wait around for that line to get a little bit higher because people are going to keep piling on money against CJ Beathard. So I'm going to take the San Francisco 49ers, and I'm going to take it at the last available moment. As it stands right now, I can only take 9.5 to keep in line with the picks that we do, but I would wait if I were you guys. Take the 49ers. They're 0-3 against the spread, and I've taken them every week. So I'm going to keep ghost riding the whip, and I'm going to take them again this weekend to have an improvement. So the 49ers with the points, whatever they are, but you should wait till the end.
Last midday game Sunday is the New Orleans Saints travel to New York to take on the Giants. 63% are on the Saints, 37% are on the Giants. Saints are 3 point favorites on the road. Fat guy, who you got?
How many fucking times do I have to tell you? It's New Orleans. Nolans. It's not New Orleans. This guy's the worst Canadian accent. You see his fucking haircut. Anyways, I'm going to take the New York Giants. The New Orleans Saints, they seem to have this like halo clout around them. The public loves the Saints. They think they're just excellent. Well, they could be good. I'm not sure if I am a believer. They had 2 really bad games, more or less, but they had a pretty decent showing against Atlanta. That defense hasn't been able to stop a decent offense. They slowed down the Tyrod and the Browns in week 2, but they got lit up by the Atlanta Falcons as well as the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, going 1-1 in those contests. I'm not a big New Orleans fan, even though historically I have been. They're an exciting team. They score lots of points, but I think this is going to be a difficult test in the Giants because they're not going to be able to get pressure. And I think the Giants are going to be better at running the ball. Kamara is mostly a receiving back, not as much of an inside the tackles punisher. I think Barkley's better suited for that. I'm going to take the Giants, another team I don't really like. But they won me some money on the weekend. They were able to cover against the Texans in a interesting affair, let's say. So I'm going to take the Giants. Book it.
Sunday Night Football, the Baltimore Ravens travel to Pittsburgh to take on the Steelers. 32% are on the Ravens, 68% on Pittsburgh. And pretty typical division rivals. 3 point favorite, Pittsburgh Steelers at home. Fat guy, who you got?
Oh, jeez. This one is so difficult. I'm just going to take the home team. And I'll be honest, guys, I really don't know. This is a tough one. It's really tough. I do think the Ravens are a better football team. But I keep picking the Steelers week to week, and I don't even think they're that good. I think the Ravens are a better team. But it is a divisional game at home for the Steelers. I'm going to take the Pittsburgh Steelers. We're going to have to lay 3 points, but that's okay. Perhaps it comes down to 2.5, but you got to monitor it, because if it goes to 3.5, I don't know if I like them. That's how razor thin this game is. These are great games to watch. They're good for football. Take the Pittsburgh Steelers, but there is a bunch of trepidations about it.
Monday Night Football, Andy Reid's Kansas City Chiefs travel to Denver to take on the Broncos. Right now, 58% are on the Chiefs, 42% are on the Broncos. Chiefs are 4-point favorites on the road. Fat guy, who you got?
Do I gotta say this? This is the one I'm gonna get lit up for. I'm gonna take the Denver Broncos. The Chiefs can't ride any higher. They look fantastic. They score a touchdown, I feel like on every possession. Mahomes looks great. Tyreek Hill looks great. Kareem Hunt looks great. The offensive line looks good. The play calling is fresh and invigorating. But the defense sucks. Okay? And I think that you can make mistakes on offense. That is bound to happen. And this is an experienced Denver defense. They're going to get some pressure with Von Miller, and this cornerback grouping is capable of creating turnovers. So that being said, I'm going to take the Denver Broncos at home. They're also traveling to the high altitude at Mile High in Denver, so I do expect some growing pains. This is the game for Kansas City. This doesn't mean that they're not good. I think Kansas City's fantastic, more or less, on offense. Not big on their defense. But I think they're going to have some growing pains in Denver. I actually quite like the Broncos because the line almost seems a little too good to be true. I feel like the line should be Kansas City minus 6.5 or 7. So it opening at 4 kind of tells me why is that? It's too good to be true. I think you could wait a little bit. If it dips to 3.5, take it. If it moves to 4.5, you could wait a little bit longer. I like the Broncos and the points.
All right, fat guy, time to go to the lightning round against the spread. Minnesota at the Rams.
Let's go Vikings.
Miami at New England.
Patriots.
Houston at Indy.
Houston Texans.
Cincinnati at Atlanta.
Cardiac Cats.
Buffalo at Green Bay.
Green Bay Fudge Packers.
Detroit at Dallas.
The Dallas Cowboys.
Jets at Jags.
The Jagrags.
Tampa Bay at Chicago.
The Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Philly at Tennessee.
Dick LeBeau's Tennessee Titans.
Seattle at Arizona.
The Arizona Cardinals.
Cleveland at Oakland.
Oh, it's a pirate September. The Oakland Raiders.
San Francisco at the Chargers.
San Francisco 49ers.
New Orleans at the Giants.
It's fucking New Orleans, man, but I'm going to take the Giants.
Baltimore at Pittsburgh.
Pittsburgh Steelers.
Kansas City at Denver.
The Denver Broncos.
Bronies, that's it for us. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe. Tell your friends about Big Ryan the Fat Guy. Make your picks in the description box below, and good luck in Week 4.
Did you give me that El Divo album?